Hello, I'm Gil Freed, and this is another edition of crowd management related news from October, November 2023 for the Patron Management Institute and our Patron Management Program. So hopefully you'll learn a lot from these stories, and some of them are actually summaries of research that's out there. One story is a summary of a published story by Bison. That's the name, Bisson, who ranked the most dangerous NFL stadiums, and it was published by Sport Book Review. The study discusses the ranking of NFL stadiums based on local crime statistics and firsthand fan experiences. According to data from the report, Empower Field at Mile High, the home of the stadium for the Denver Broncos, tops the list for the highest overall local crime rate, with 70.02 crimes per 1,000 residents in the stadium's zip code. Lumen Field in Seattle follows closely by with 63.5 crimes. That is followed by Ford Field in Detroit, US Bank Stadium in Minnesota, and Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. They all make the top 5 list. When it comes to violent crime, Ford Field takes the lead with 23.07 violent crimes per 1,000 residents in its zip code. That is followed by the Cleveland Browns Stadium, M&T Bank Stadium, which is home for the Baltimore Ravens, and then Arrowhead Stadium. Empower Field and Lumen Field are the top 2 stadiums for property crime, with 60.32 and 55.47 property crimes per 1,000 residents respectively. First-hand fan experiences reveal that 39.2% of NFL fans have witnessed a crime at or around an NFL stadium, with Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia being the stadium where the most crimes have been witnessed by fans. That's at 63.2%. Additionally, 7.2% of NFL fans have been victims of a crime at or around an NFL stadium, with AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, MetLife Stadium, home of the Giants and the Jets in New York, and Lincoln Financial Field being the top 3 stadiums where fans have been victims. The most common crime witnessed at stadiums is physical violence, while verbal harassment is the most common crime that fans have experienced. Furthermore, the article highlights safety concerns for women, children, and visiting fans. Around 44.7% of women do not feel comfortable attending a football game at their team stadium. That's at their team stadium, let alone if they're traveling elsewhere. Of that amount, Ford Field, Lucas Oil Field, and SoFi Stadium were the top stadiums where women felt unsafe. Men, particularly 51.4%, expressed discomfort with the idea of leaving a female partner or family member alone around their team stadium, with Ford Field topping the list. Parents also expressed concern about their children's safety, with 77.2% feeling that their children are not safe at their team stadium without supervision. And Lucas Oil Stadium was the top ranked stadium considered unsafe for young people. This is very depressing and disturbing news because it means a lot of people aren't comfortable going to a game. That's not what we want. We want everyone to be comfortable. The next story dealt with the National Center for Spectator Sport Safety and Security. Say that 5 times real fast. It's called NCS4, and it's at the University of Southern Mississippi, and they conducted a nationwide survey in June 2023 titled Spectator Sport Safety and Security Survey 2023 Industry Research Report. And they did that to assess spectators' perception of safety practices, security measures, and fan behavior at live sporting events. The results offer insights to help venues enhance their security protocol and improve the overall event experience for attendees. Sporting events aim to provide exciting and memorable experiences for fans in a safe environment. That's what they're there for. However, disruptive fan behavior and security concerns can detract from spectators' enjoyment and prevent their return to the stadium. The NCS4 survey included 400 participants nationwide who attended either a professional college sporting event in the past year or a different event, which would have been a college event. The majority fell between the ages of 18 and 44 and held at least a bachelor's degree. Over 40% attended events with minors, highlighting the need to provide family-friendly atmosphere. That dovetails with the prior survey. Popular sports attended included Major League Baseball, college football, NFL football, NBA basketball, and half of the spectators engaged in pregame tailgating activities, which often occurs in college and pro football. When evaluating safety measures, most spectators felt comfortable with security personnel wearing body cameras and appreciated the ability to report incidents discreetly. Visible security and screening procedures increased perception of safety, although some felt entry processes inconveniently delayed venue access. What can you do? You need safety. Participants supported having robust security staffing, law enforcement presence, entry screening technologies, surveillance cameras, and access control measures. However, social media monitoring and robotic security garnered less enthusiasm. Top safety concerns involved theft, weapons, alcohol abuse, parking risk, fan violence, and inadequate security personnel or screening. In terms of disruptive fan behavior, 2/3 of the survey respondents witnessed incidents, but over half did not report the misconduct. One of the things to highlight associated with that statistic is the fact that a lot of stadiums and arenas have fan hotlines where fans can report incidences. The survey results clearly indicate that while people might be experiencing issues and they might want to communicate, a lot of them are not communicating. So if people think that that's going to be an end-all, it's unfortunately not true. It is a tool, but like any tool, if it's not used, it has very little value. And it actually might give a false sense that there is something in place that will address and alleviate certain issues, when in fact, we know that about half the people, based upon this survey, will not respond to those kind of issues. So I just wanted to throw that in there. 1/4 of the respondents personally experienced harassment, which impacted their likelihood to return. If you're being harassed, you might not return. The most prevalent issue involved alcohol abuse, fighting, severe weather emergencies, unsafe tailgating activities, parking areas crime, and crowd control problem. Most spectators believe fan conduct has remained stagnant over recent years rather than improving. Key recommendations for venues include providing incentives for early arrivals, training staff for screening and accessibility protocols, communicating policies via websites and signage, fielding on-site reports of misconduct, penalties for code violations, staff training in de-escalation tactics, adequate lighting and security presence in parking areas, and individual entry screening. That's a mouthful there, but there's a lot of things that are recommended by the survey. Charging a small ticket surcharge could fund enhanced security measures, with over 70% of fans supporting such an initiative. In conclusion, sporting event organizers must balance safety, security, accessibility, convenience, and enjoyment to satisfy spectators. Proactive measures to reduce risk and disruption while being mindful of attendees' perspective will encourage positive experiences and ongoing event participation. Further research should continue monitoring best practices as technology evolves and fan behavior trends change over time. By collaborating with security experts and listening to patrons, venues can maintain safe and welcoming environments that keep spectators returning year after year. That's what we want. So that was there were two surveys there. The rest is now going to be current events that happened over the last 2 months. Security check finds man tried to enter school stadium with a gun. This is a story from November 22nd, 2023. A Virginia Beach man was arrested after he tried to enter a football stadium in Prince William County with a gun Saturday evening. And so this was Saturday evening game, unfortunately, and we often see these things Friday night, but this is a Saturday evening game. The security check took place on the grounds of Potomac High School in Dumfries at a non-school related football game. Albert Smith, 29, was charged with 3 counts of possession of a weapon on school grounds and a single count of carrying a concealed weapon. Before attending the game, each guest had to check by security personnel at the stadium entrance, according to Prince William County Police Department. While Smith was being checked, security reported finding a gun inside his bag, prompting a police response. Of course, that's what you'd expect. Smith was denied entry and left the stadium. Officers eventually pulled him over, at which time 3 guns were allegedly found inside the vehicle. This story helps show how critical screening is. That effort by that screening person identified a gun, identified a violation of policy. They were able to enforce it, and that led to the eventual arrest of this individual. Stairway to disaster: how the tragic stampede at Kerala's Cochin University unfolded. There was only a single entry and exit point to the venue. What was supposed to be then a night of fun and revelry quickly morphed into a day of disaster at Kerala Cochin University on what was a Saturday night, when a stampede broke out during a musical event, claiming 4 lives and injuring 60 others. The disaster happened in the university's open-air auditorium that was set to host a music concert by popular playback singer Nikita Gandhi. The authorities claimed the venue could accommodate around 1,500 people. The entry for the show was on a pass basis, basically like a ticket, but they call it a pass. The gates to the auditorium opened at 5:30 p.m. and remained so until 7:30 p.m. Hundreds of people, both students and local people, hung around the gates, and they were there waiting to go in. Unfortunately, a sudden downpour at around 7 p.m. forced those at the entrance to rush into the auditorium via the open gates. A lot of issues have occurred because of weather. One was an issue in Russia a number of years ago. This is in India. Unknown to many, the gates led to 11 steps, a total depth of 8 feet. That's how the steps went down. Some of the people stumbled on these steps and ended up being trampled upon by the crowd. According to the senior police officer, the auditorium was only partially full at the time of the stampede. In the melee, over 65 people were injured, of which 4 succumbed to death. 2 others admitted to a private hospital in Kochi are in critical condition at the time of the story. It is unclear as to whether police or security officials were posted at the venue to manage the crowd. It was reportedly students who were entrusted with the task of managing the crowd. However, University Chancellor P.G. Sankaran told the media that the university had informed the police about the event, but most of the police personnel were busy with an ISL match happening in Kochi, which is a different sporting event. Besides, the auditorium is said to only have had a single entry and exit point. The exit and entry through the same gate led to the stampede. Now, let me interject my own perspective here. The venue wasn't completely full. You don't need to have a full venue to have a stampede or a crowd crush. You always have to look at pinch points, and that's what happened here with those 11 steps going down into the seating area. The next story is brawling fans in stand delay the start of the Argentina-Brazil World Cup qualifying match for 27 minutes. Lionel Messi led his Argentina lineup off the field because of a brawl between the rival fans in Brazil, delaying the start of their South American World Cup qualifier by 27 minutes. And that was in the 69,000-seat Maracana Stadium, which was sold out. Messi's squad returned from the locker room after it was deemed to be safe and went on to win a tense match 1-0, staying on the pitch to celebrate with their fans long after the final whistle had been blown. Players of both teams had earlier asked fans for calm, with Argentina goalkeeper Dibu Martinez racing to one of the rails in front of the visiting fans and urging police to stop the violence. Police used batons to break up the fights in the crowd, which started minutes after the national anthem echoed around the stadium. Parts of seating and other objects were thrown from both sides and hit some spectators, behind one of the goals, and at least one fan left the stadium bleeding from his head. Argentina returned after 22 minutes in the locker room and warmed up for several minutes before the game was finally started again. It's unfortunate, but these things happen. And in this case, Colonel Wagner Ferreira, the highest ranking police officer in the stadium, blamed organizers for the lack of barrier between home and visiting fans. He defended the action of the police. Every action demands a reaction. There's a history of confrontation here. At first we spoke to them. Then we had to use our batons. There was no lethal force involved, no rubber bullets, no tear gas. This was a very technical approach, he said. To that, I don't know what to say, because that is the excuse often used by police officers, blaming the fans or blaming other people and saying, hey, look, they're just an unruly, ungodly group of people. In South America, a lot of fans are separated. There is a history, unfortunately, of misconduct, but the police can also pose a potential problem and exasperate the issue. People more prone to violence, irrational behavior after their favorite sport team loses is the title of this next story. Losing can bring out the worst in some people, especially sport fans. Now a new study suggests that sport team losses can trigger violent and irrational behavior among fans. The research was conducted in South America, and the researchers analyzed the brain activity of soccer fans, revealing that victory activates their brain's reward system. You're happy. Conversely, defeat can impair the cognitive control, raising the likelihood of violent or disruptive behavior. The study also discovered that fans can engage in introspection to alleviate the pain of a loss. It focused on fans of two rival football teams in Chile, proposing that these findings could apply to other forms of fanaticism as well, including politics, spirituality, ethnicity, and identity. The groundbreaking research being presented at the Radiological Society of North America, RSNA, annual meeting in Chicago aimed to understand the positive and negative reactions in fans' brains while watching their teams. I don't think this is any earth-shattering news. When our team wins, we're excited. When they lose, we get upset. And that could lead, unfortunately, to potential violence. So as a Patreon leader, you just have to understand that. The next story, FAA investigating drone activity during Thursday's Ravens game at M&T Bank Stadium. According to Maryland State Police, troopers and Maryland Stadium Authority security officers were able to locate the drone pilot and order the person to land the drone. The drone operator told officers that they were unaware of a flight restriction and did not have a waiver to operate near the stadium during the game. The Maryland Stadium Authority said it installed drone detection and deterrence technology at the stadium complex before the 2021 sports season, according to a statement from the group. The FAA has strict rules concerning drone activity during major sporting events. Drones cannot fly within 3 miles of a stadium starting 1 hour before a game, according to the FAA. The ban doesn't end until 1 hour after the game. The ban applies to NFL and college football, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, and IndyCar racing. Even though there is a ban and it's been in place for years, it is regularly violated. At the time of shooting of this video, last weekend there were 3 drone incidents at one NFL stadium. So we're going to keep seeing this as a major issue. The last story involves the Dodgers security guard ordered to pay fan beaten in opening day melee in 2018. A judge in November awarded $105,000 in punitive damages a man who alleged he was wrongfully beaten by security team members at Dodger Stadium on opening day 2018. The Los Angeles Superior Court panel assessed $100,000 of Francisco Rodriguez's damages against the Dodgers and $5,000 against the Dodgers security officer Eric Pina. The punitive damages phase of the trial was triggered on Thursday when the jury, while deciding Rodriguez's compensatory damages, found that Pina acted with malice, fraud, or oppression, which are the requirements to have punitive damages. It's acting so bad. The panel awarded Rodriguez $131,780 in punitive damages, but the amount was impacted by an additional jury finding that Rodriguez was 75% liable for his injuries and the Dodgers the remaining 25%. Jurors concluded that Pena was negligent, but not the Dodgers. The lawsuit was filed in July 2018 and one of the multiple cases brought by fans over the last several years alleging misconduct by Dodger Stadium security team members. Rodriguez maintains he was told by security team members that they were ejecting him because he had asked about the way another fan was being treated during the March 29, 2018 game. One of the escorting guards on the way to the exit took him to the ground and punched him in the head, the plaintiff alleges. According to the evidence and pleadings, one guard placed his knee on the plaintiff, who protested, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." This was caught on video. This was before the George Floyd incident. But based upon what happened in George Floyd case, I think that had an impact on the jury and their perception. In full disclosure, I was the expert witness in that case, so I know the case very well. I'm not going to go into the details of the case, but what I want people to realize is that if you act so inappropriately, you could be charged with punitive damages, which are damages designed to punish you. So if you do your job, while emotions might get hot, you have to keep yourself in control. And that means not taking any actions over and beyond what is necessary at the time to de-escalate an incident. If there is a fight and you're stuck in the middle of it, you can try to protect yourself, you can try to protect others, but it doesn't give you a license to try attacking someone, and especially if the threat is now over, to take retaliation against someone. If you retaliate against someone, that could lead to a punitive damage claim against you as an individual. It's not just against the venue now. When they consider that you do something that's over and beyond what is normal for the job, you could lose the protection that you might have of your employer being responsible for your action. Because at a certain point, if you act in a given way, your employer is no longer responsible for your conduct if it goes beyond what the employer would have expected you to do. So follow your training, follow your training, follow your training. I can't express that enough. That's it for the stories from October and November 2023. Everyone, stay safe out there. Bye.